This was a good DLC. After the not very well received extra chapter of a new Power Awakens set of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, CyberConnect would brings us a second part emphasizing the events of the Resurrection F, new transformations, game modes, and great fights. Welcome to the review of the second DLC of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. If I'm honest with you, in the videos we've been preparing for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I've never had a feeling of immersion as vast as the one I felt with this DLC. And the worst thing is that it's not related to the DLC in the first place. Let me explain. It turns out that I experienced this title in a specific way, which was enjoying the original story, and I still think that this is the easiest and most enjoyable way to play, but I still needed to go deeper into the RPG section. I had not paid much attention to this, but like every RPG, it offers a world of possibilities so you can manage your time and resources correctly, but always as you prefer. That is why playing, you can spend 3 or 4 hours in a row and you don't even realize it. In part, that is the beauty of RPGs. Now, what happened to me was that when starting the second DLC, after a short prologue, we returned to Bill's planet where Goku and Vegeta continued their training. In this way, Whis asks us to restart a special training, and here I am, chilling, when they recommended a level of 130. At this point, I had Goku at level 79 and Vegeta at 74, which means I only had 2 days to level up more than 50 levels to even qualify to start the story. At first, I never felt it necessary to level up much because the enemies are easy to beat anyway. We had already talked about that before. Besides, if things got complicated, we could always use a healing item and we were fine. However, the problem here is that if I didn't level up, it was going to take me decades to do even 1 pixel of damage to Whis. I couldn't afford that, so I put myself to work. In first instance, I needed to gain only experience, and the best way to do that was with combats. The combats that you encounter in the world gave almost no experience, so I started doing all the secondary missions. Those did gain me some experience. Then I found out that there was an item that increased the experience gained by 50% for 3 minutes of use, so I started using it. Once I finished the side quests available on the map, I realized on the internet that other side quests were unlocked only with Dragon Balls by resurrecting old enemies and fighting them. Then finished finding all the Dragon Balls over and over again. I finally finished all the side quests. Now I would train in the laboratory of Android 21 to get some fights quickly. There I met the ex-member of the Guinea forces, but I realized that to advance in more levels of difficulty or that they would give me more experience, I needed certain objects that I didn't have. I went to Master Roshi's, who gave me a few, but not all, so I started to search and farm like a crazy all over the island. Then I realized that what I was doing was a waste of time, since playing the normal battles in red enemy zones for each section of the map gave me practically 4 times more experience. Once these territories were finished, Goku was already level 110 and Vegeta at 107, so I thought, oh, now could be a good time to try to beat Whis. It turns out that when I came back, I realized that the sacred water that Whis gave me in the previous chapter was used to drink it and level up once and for all. Well, I suppose that's what happens to me for not informing myself well about farming tutorials before starting recording. Finally, let's go with the DLC. The Resurrection F seemed to me a pretty standard movie, but from here something quite promising could come out. CyberConnect knew that it could not waste the opportunity. The concept of progression was still the same. Now, upon completing the training with Whis, Goku and Vegeta awakened a new power, the power of Super Saiyan Blue. I really like how both characters' movesets changed dramatically from the root of their combos. This happens when unlocking new movement attributes in the skill tree, which I was leveling over those 2 days that I was grinding. This gives me a very unique meaning to the main characters, showing not only with numbers but also with the optimization of their movements and perfection of their techniques, the progress they've had. Seriously, I had a great time fighting Whis in those first fights. After this, we go to a scene in which Gohan was training with Piccolo on Earth. They realized that the key of someone familiar, Frieza, was approaching. Just like in the movie, the warriors of the Earth gather to repel the extraterrestrial threat, and here is one of the parts where this DLC shines the most. The game introduces new mechanics and modes that not only contribute to to the experience of this particular mission, but also adds to the thousands of things to do in Kakarot, like side quests. I'm talking about group battles, and that Gohan and Piccolo decided to form groups among all the warriors to finish all the soldiers of the Frieza army. In this new mode, we fight against a large number of opponents simultaneously. Our squad can work as a team to finish them all, using techniques together and attacks that cover a very wide area. But don't be confused, this may seem like a scenario where we fight against too many opponents at once, but it's a conventional fight where each new enemy starts to spawn once after the another. I think I only saw 5 opponents at the same time maximum. The joint attack, or Combo Z, in which all the members of the group attack at the same time, means that we finish up to 100 enemies in a single attack, so that simplifies things much better so that the combat doesn't last longer than it should. I like this add a lot, and it gives a good room of participation to characters that until now had not been the most protagonist. If you're tired of games being too expensive, at Instant Gaming you can buy all the games you want at an incredible price. You even have the option to get pre-orders and gift cards with a big discount. I've been using it for several years now, and here are my latest purchases to show you guys that is completely legit. Cheap, fast and safe. You can check it out in the link I leave you in the description down below. That would be a huge support for the channel. Let's get back to the video. Once Whis receives a call from Bulma, he informs the two Saiyans of the situation and they head to Earth to prevent Frieza from liquidating them all. I really like the setting of this scene. They knew how to adapt it very well to how it was in the movie. Apart from that, I was already a bit bored of the same scene of Bill's planet over and over again. Once we arrive, we have a fight between Goku and Frieza in their base forms, giving a starting point similar to the movie. Only here, I suppose that with the purpose of censorship, the original material in which Goku gets stacked by an enemy beam and that Frieza tortures him, here in the game they opted for a brief dialogue scene in which Vegeta demands Goku to fight Frieza when he transforms into Golden Frieza. Goku accepts, and so they let us play with Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta once again. Here I was able to take out all the techniques that I left saved against Whis. I must confess that it's a little habit that I have when playing some Dragon Ball games. I got used to playing the fights in the same way they happened on the TV when I was a kid. I enjoyed the fight with Vegeta a lot, and I feel that it's a much better cared version than the fight with Bills. Here we have more types of different attacks to dodge unblockable actions, and they give it more spectacularity. When this ends, we go to the scene in which Frieza explodes the Earth in a desperate attempt to be victorious. In very brief moments, Whis explains that he can turn back time and avoid the tragedy, but for that, Goku will have to finish Frieza quickly so that he doesn't destroy the Earth. And this is where we are presented with the final fight of the DLC. It wasn't a quick cinematic in which Goku disintegrates Frieza with a Kamehameha, which would have been more faithful to what actually happened, but we prevent him from destroying the planet, making him fight once again, but giving everything we have with the blue transformation. The fight can last up to 10 minutes if we take into account that here we were at level 125. The battle is long, but it's worth watching how they used CyberConnect's resources to create a splendid combat culmination scene, spectacular hits and flashes that make the climax of this extra chapter feel deserved. I know that many were expecting to see something like this when they found out that CC2 would be in charge of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. It's great to see what these gentlemen do with visual material. This is how the story culminates, and we are rewarded with several additional secondary missions to do in the free world. It's that simple. I wasn't asking for an extra story with super innovative sections either, just additional material that was made with time and dedication, that offered new mechanics and that didn't feel like a meaningless cycle of repetition one after the another. For me, a good DLC in any game gives you a reason to return to a game that you have not touched in a while. This second DLC achieves this perfectly, in addition to having shown the vastness of the world of Kakarot, which honestly I was falling short when talking about it. We will see what awaits us in the praised and mythical Trunks of the Future DLC. Guys, don't forget to leave me in the comments what did you think of this DLC. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I'll be reading them. Thanks for the constant support for the series and reviews on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. That was all for today, guys, and I'll be watching you in the next video. Take care and see ya.